Namaste, my name is Ayush Mudgal. I am faculty at FLG, Faculty of Law and Governance at Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. My subject is Property Laws and Easement for semester 10 of BA LLB, BBA LLB, BCom LLB and LLB second year. In this subject, in first lecture, we will discuss about the syllabus. Syllabus is basically divided into three units. In unit 1 we will discuss in detail what is in unit 1. The first topic is concept of property. As semester 10th students have read the concept of property under criminal law, what is the difference between human and property, and so many other topics related to it. But in this subject we will discuss the concept of property in detail, like there are many types of properties: tangible, intangible, real and personal, other than that corporal, incorporeal, and most importantly the differences between movable and movable properties. The second topic is transferability of property. In this, we will discuss which properties can we transfer, which cannot be transferred. If there is transfer, then what are the conditions precedent to it, what is the procedure, whether their attestation is important or no, not, types of notices, actual notice, constructive notice, we will discuss under this head. Now third topic is conditions restricting transfer. If there are any conditions or any property which is attached with some conditions which restrict that property to be transferred, we will discuss about it. Next, definition of transfer of property. Under section 5 of Transfer of Property Act, we will discuss the basic definition when a property can be transferred. Then what is transfer, what is non-transfer, we will discuss about the term transfer, deliverance, then conveyancing, what is difference between among these three terms which I have said. Then section 6, as I have mentioned, what may be transfer. The under section 6 which may be transfer, under section 7, person who is competent to transfer. Then section 8, operation of transfer, how the transfer is made. Then section 9, whether there can be oral transfer or not. Section 10, conditions restricting alienation. Then we'll discuss in detail what does that mean, alienation means, and how it is different from transfer and conveyancing. Then section 11 deals with restrictions repugnant to the interest created. If any interest is created which is attached to the property, what is the restrictions can be made with that property. Now next point is transfer to an unborn person and rule against perpetuity. We will discuss section 13 related to the unborn person, and rule against perpetuity discuss under section 14. Then next topic is what is vested interest and what is contingent interest. We'll discuss it. It is enumerated under section 19. Then in your unit 1, the last topic is rule of election, which is being dealt under section 35. So this is unit 1. We will discuss it in detail. So firstly, we will discuss the introduction part of Transfer of Property Act. What is the historical background of this act, how it came into existence, So before the Transfer of Property Act, under India, the transfer of property was dealt according to the customary laws. Hindus has separate customary laws relating to their transfer of property. Muslim have different. After the advent of Britishers saw the system which we customary law, how customary law is dealing with the transfer of property. So there was no concrete or ascertainable law related to property in India. So they tried to make formal codes which will deal with transfer of property in India. When the laws were made relating to transfer of property by the Britishers, they didn't make any fresh laws. So they enacted a English law and enforce it in India, but they modify that English law according to the Indian conditions and their social systems. At that time, the adjudication system was with panchayats, which was not properly, or you can say that was informal and traditional judicial system. Now when the Britishers came up with the law related to the transfer of property, that was based upon the equity, justice and good conscience. The first law commission was appointed by the British Queen primarily to codify the civil law in India, the one relating to the Transfer of Property Act in 1870. After many drafts was been drafted, the final draft was passed in British Parliament on 17th February 1882, and the act, which was called Transfer of Property Act, came into force on 1st of July 1882. The Transfer of Property Act was not primarily made for India. So when we saw the scope of Transfer of Property Act, there is a term that an act to amend the law relating to transfer of property by act of parties. The word amend is used. So what is the meaning of that word amend? Any law which is been made by the Britishers, now that law can be modified according to the Indian conditions. That is the scope of that Transfer of Property Act. Now we'll see the basic objects of this act. The basic object of this act is to bring in harmony the rule relating to the Transfer of Property Act between living person and those applicable in case of devolution of the same. So now we can say the Transfer of Property Act deals with the transfer of property as well as the devolution of the property. Now the confusion is whether the act, Transfer of Property Act, is applicable to all transfers or it is restricted to any particular type of transfer. So for that I'll give you notes of that, and we'll discuss it according a flow chart. So Transfer of Property Act is divided into two parts. First is transfer can be made by act of parties or by operation of law. In act of parties, in first part, there can be two type of transfer by act of parties. First is inter vivos or inter vivals. Transfer of Property Act is the only legislation in India where there is written that transfer must be between two intervivals. Intervivals means living persons. A transfer must be between two living persons, then only the Transfer of Property Act can be apply on that particular transfer. I'm sorry. So in by act of parties, first part we will divide it into further two parts. First is intervivals and second is testamentary. Where testamentary means in intervivals there are two parties, both are living persons, then the transfer is being made, and in testamentary one person is dead and to another to whom the property is transferred is living. Testamentary, by the testament, by a written document the transfer is being made. So for one side of the transfer is living person and other side is testament. That written document is the reason why the transfer is being made. And now by act of parties. Now second type is by operation of law. So by operation of law, example we can say land acquisition will, land acquisition act and other any transfer which is being made by the operation of law. No need of act of parties, no need of intervivals or testament, etc, etc. So now where TPA or Transfer of Property Act is applicable. Now we have seen transfer, we have divided into two parts. One is act by parties and second is operation of law. In act of parties we have divided into two parts, one between intervivals and testamentary. Now the Transfer of Property Act is only applicable to act of parties, and in act of parties when we divided intervivals, only intervivals, the transfer between intervivals, that part only govern with the Transfer of Property Act. So we have excluded testamentary transfer and the transfer which is being made by operation of law. I'll send you notes, you'll get clear understanding of this whatever I have taught you. So next we'll see the objects of this act. An act to amend, as I have explained before, an act to amend the law relating to the transfer of property by act of parties. So I think I am clear to that where the TPA is applicable, act of parties, and in act of parties both parties must be living, that means intervivals. Now before this, Anglo law, English law was applicable on this principle of justice, equity and good conscience. Now third point is this law is exhaustive, but along with it other laws relating to property has to be read. Now as we have seen in Indian Evidence Act, in that object it has been written that this act is consolidated. The meaning of consolidated means that act is fully operational in its shell. What does that means? For application of this act's provisions there is no need of any other act to be read with. But as we know, for application of Indian Evidence Act we have to read the criminal law, and which is IPC, and criminal procedure law, which is Code of Civil Procedure, Code of Criminal Procedure. Just like that, Transfer of Property Act is exhaustive, means in Hindi it's called Purnatmak, complete. It is complete in itself. So there is no need to read any other law with it for application of its provision. But there are some exceptions like Indian Contract Act. When we are saying that a transfer must be between intervivals, So there must be two persons, and the transfer can be done only by agreement or contract. So for understanding of agreement and contract, we have to read the Indian Contract Act and its provisions for checking whether the transfer is valid, void or voidable in it under Transfer of Property Acts. We will discuss the chapter 2 of this Transfer of Property Act in our next lecture. So I would suggest all the students who are watching this video, please go through Indian Contract Act, the basic conditions for the valid contract and what contract are barred by law, or basically if I can say section 10 to 25 you must read thoroughly and have some idea about Indian Contract Act. Then we will discuss section 2 of Transfer of Property Act further in our next lecture. Thank you so much.